Ah, hello down there. Didn't see you come in, and welcome to Chris Cooks, the no-nonsense cookery show designed just for you. And today on Chris Cooks, I'd like to show you something different, something a bit sweet, because I have a sweet tooth myself. It's one of these back here, and I'm sure you've got one as well. So I'll be showing you how to cook a lovely, lovely, lovely dessert for you and your friends and family to enjoy as well. Come on, let's do this. Right then, I've got with me here a cheap and nasty chocolate flavoured dessert whip from a reputable supermarket. If you're feeling a bit flashery of cash, you could spend £1 something on getting a nice one, but I've gone for cheap and cheerful. As you can see, I've emptied the contents into a large bowl. Yeah, not a cereal one, got to have one with a bit more substantial size to it. Then I'm going to add 250 millilitres of milk. I'm using semi-skimmed milk here, but you can use full fat for a more rich, creamier taste. I've gone for the semi-skim myself because I've got to watch the calories after Christmas. Got a bit of a belly on me I need to try and get rid of. So it's semi-skimmed here. And also a fork. I need that to whisk up when I put the milk in. So if I just grab this, in goes the milk. Just pour it in nicely like that. Get a nice covering. There we are. That's your 250 millilitres of milk in. Get your fork. Slowly stir for a moment. Maybe a bit of a whisk here. This is the kind of thing you want to be doing, obviously a bit faster with a bit more effort put into it. But as I've got the camera in one hand, I'm finding it quite hard to do this. So yeah, carry on whisking. And I'll get back to you in about 30 seconds of whisking. As you can see, I've whisked it more, but after 30 seconds I've given that with a fork because my arm's aching. And I've gone for one of these. Da, 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 da. A broad whisk machine with a whiskey bit on the front. Whiskey. You join me back after whisking. Although I have to admit that my arm ached halfway through that 30 seconds whisking, so I tried an electric whisk. That went down like a bag of shit, and got everywhere covered in chocolate. So that's probably why it's looking a little less than it was a minute ago. Plus I've had about 7 forkfuls myself. So as you can see, yeah, lovely, lovely, lovely. So now what I'm going to do is give it a final scoop round the outside to make sure I get all the bits in. Probably another 5 seconds if I can manage it on the whisk before putting it into the fridge, having a few more forkfuls and then leaving it for 15 minutes. There you are, the dessert is in the fridge. I'd leave it in there for about 10 to 15 minutes really, just to let it cool down, let it set. One thing I forgot to mention is you're meant to stir the mixture for about 1.5 to 2 minutes, and not 35 seconds I stirred it for. However, I'm sure it'll turn out great, and I'm sure yours would as well if you follow those simple but informative tips and tricks I showed you earlier. As well as showing you great stuff to cook, I like to take viewers' questions as well. That's why from now on I'm going to be including this little feature at the end. I hope you find it just as informative. If your kitchen's in a mess, question Chris. Send a message to me, question Chris. If your cooking's getting you low, I shall sort it out for yo. Question Chris, question Chris, question Chris. Bum bum bum, yeah. Hello, on today's Question Chris, I've received an email from Jenny in Newport. I shall read it to you. Dear Chris Cooks, I love homemade meringues. How can I get my meringues light and fluffy like the ones I see on the television? Every time I try and make these, they end up dense, thick and lumpy. How can I improve this? Many thanks, Jenny in Newport. Well, Jenny, I'm glad you asked. A lot of people do struggle with homemade meringues. It's a very delicate science. If I give you my own personal recipe, to you out there, you'll be able to make perfect meringues every time, no problem. Now, the first thing I'd like to point out is, make sure your bowl is nice and clean. Make sure there's no oils, no fats, and make sure it's just the egg whites themselves, because the yolk can affect the overall meringue flavour and texture. Secondly is, I like to use an electric whisk. It's cheating, I know, but still, have you know that egg whites are very, very hard liquid to whisk. So an electric whisk helps you out a bit there. Put your egg whites into your clean bowl and then put your whisk on a medium setting, medium speed. Whisk it for about 30 seconds. Get some air in there, make it light and airy. Then to stabilise it, use an acid. None of your funny hydrochloric acids, nothing stupid like that. You could either use cream of tartar, a bit expensive and unnecessary. I like to use half a teaspoon of white vinegar. Just stir that into your mixture really. Put your whisk onto high settings, give it another 20 seconds, just blast it for 20 seconds. Then you need to add the sugar. Sugar makes all the difference to your meringue. Depending on what sugar you use, depends on its outcome. I personally like to use caster sugar, a nice fine caster sugar to avoid the lumps you're probably getting. Because granulated often doesn't dissolve into the mixture. Caster sugar does the job spot on. So just pour that in while you're stirring. And put your whisk on and just whisk it and add a little bit of sugar and a bit of a whisk, a bit of sugar and a bit of a whisk. Keep on whisking and adding the sugar till it's all gone. Do this on a medium setting for your whisker as well, because you don't want to overdo it too much. So they are quite delicate, these meringues. Medium setting where you're putting the sugar in. Once it's all in, turn it back up to high and then give it another 30 seconds whisking. Make sure you're getting all the corners, all the sides. I know there's no corners in a bowl, but you know what I mean. Just going round and round through the middle as well. Get it all fluffed, get it all airy, get it all going. Another thing I'd like to point out is that for each egg, use 60 grams of sugar. That's my own personal measurement I'm giving to you. 60 grams per egg, really. If you've got 2 eggs, 120 grams. You don't need me to carry on. You can do your 60 times tables if you can. That's what calculators are for. So once you've done that, leave it to stand for about a minute or two before you cook it. And there, you'll have perfect meringues every time. I hope I've answered your question, Jenny, and I hope you get the meringues you truly long for. If you have a question you'd like to send me here at Chris Cooks, I'll be more than happy to answer it for you, and you never know your luck, it might get featured on the show. Hopefully the address might be along here somewhere. Maybe. Come on, yeah. Address along here. If not, it'll be on the credits at the end of the show. So don't despair, it'll be there. Until next time, viewers, this has been Question Chris, part of Chris Cooks, going out to you. Auf Wiedersehen, adjourned, and goodbye.